Sacred Soul Sanctuary presents Soul Healing Poetry. Assalamu alaikum, dear souls, and peace to every soul who has found their way here. In the name of the one who softens, opens, and awakens the human heart. Welcome to Soul Healing Poetry. I am Ghulama Mustafa, and this is a space for gentle reflection, spiritual nourishment, and the healing whispers of Rumi poetry. Here, the heart is invited to speak, and the soul is invited to listen.
Welcome back, dear souls, to episode 20 of Soul Healing Poetry. Now, every 10 episodes, we ask listeners to send in their poems. And as this is episode 20, this is a special edition. This is a listener's showcase. Your poetry of divine longing, healing, and alignment. You know, there's something I keep coming back to lately. The quiet idea that what we experience as breaking is not always the end. Sometimes it's an opening. Not loud, not obvious, but something within us beginning to unfold. Mawlana Rumi whispers, where there's ruin, there's hope for a treasure. And maybe that's why poetry exists. Not to be perfect, not to be honest, not to impress, but to express something real. You know, the kind of truth you don't just hear, but you feel it. You recognize it somewhere within yourself. So today, this listener's episode is a shared space. These are voices, lived experiences, hearts speaking in their own way. You don't have to analyze anything here. Just listen. What you seek is seeking you. And let's begin. All of the poets can be found on Instagram, and their handles are in the show notes. Our first piece is Her Story of Hope by yours truly, The Servant. The wind blew her ferociously over the hills, stones, and streams amazed by her fall. Giggling with the seagulls of Dover, she laughed and cried whilst waiting for her call, watching the waves crashing from a distance, a heart of hearts deep in contemplation. Words like wind whirling as the sea listened, her heart in awe and deep admiration. Light shone bright, her beloved open-armed, giving her hope in her times of losing. She stood and she breathed deeply, feeling charmed. Joyously, she smiled, her heart soothing. There's something in this poem that feels almost like a conversation with the unseen. The way the wind carries her, not gently, but ferociously, as if life itself is insisting on movement. And in the language of Mawlana Rumi, this kind of upheaval is never meaningless. It's the kind of unraveling that loosens what we thought we were, so we can become something truer. She falls, and even the world seems to pause in witness. The hills, stones, and streams amazed by her fall. It's almost as if her breaking matters, as if it's seen. And then that beautiful contrast. She laughs and cries at the same time. That is such a human moment, because sometimes when everything is shifting, we don't arrive at one clear emotion. We become the meeting place of both grief and joy, loss and wonder, and then the waiting. Whilst waiting for her call, that feels important, because in so much of Mawlana Rumi's work, there's always a sense of being summoned, of something calling you inward or onward, even when you don't yet understand where. But what stands out most is that even in the movement, the falling, the waiting, she is still seeing, still noticing the sea, still in awe, still in relationship with beauty. And then that moment, her beloved, open-armed, not arriving at the end, but appearing within the experience. This is very Rumi. The idea that we are longing for does not wait for us at the finish line. It meets us in the middle of our becoming. So maybe the wind wasn't against her. Maybe it was carrying her. Maybe the fall wasn't a loss of control, but a movement towards something she was always meant to encounter. And the ending? She stands, she breathes, she smiles, not because nothing happened, but because something shifted within her. That's the quiet transformation. Not dramatic, not loud, but real. The kind where the heart, after being shaken, finds a deeper way to rest. Our second poem is called A House That Knows Her Name, and this is by Silent Verses. We call the earth mother, softly naming her sacred, as if soil itself is a woman, endless in patience, limitless in giving. Yet, I wonder, if the land can be hers, why must a girl still ask, where do I belong? A house never pauses to question the hands that lay its first stone. It does not ask, was it a son or was it a daughter? The foundation does not weaken beneath a woman's dream. Walls do not resist her touch. Bricks do not remember gender, only the warmth of their creation. And still she grows, like a season on borrowed ground, a spring in her father's home, where laughter blooms freely, where every corner knows her name, yet whispers, not forever. Then, one day, dressed in rituals and expectations, she crosses into another house, where love may welcome her, but belonging comes with conditions. There too, they say, it is yours, but through him. So I ask again, where does she belong? Is she like a river, flowing endlessly through land she can never claim, or like the moons lighting up the night that never calls her its own? No, she is something deeper. She is the quiet creator of spaces, the unseen soul of every home, turning empty rooms into warmth, walls into memories, and silence into stories. And yet, her name is often missing from the threshold she builds. I imagine a house, not vast, but perfect, but entirely hers. A place where the curtains sway like her thoughts in a gentle breeze, where walls hold her poetry, not her silence, where every cup of tea carries the imprint of her presence, and every window opens to a sky she chose for herself. A place where childhood does not fade away. She sits beside her laughing in echoes, whispering old stories through the air, where dreams are not questioned, not adjusted, not sacrificed, but planted, like seeds that grow freely towards their own. A house that never says, you came from somewhere else, or you belong because of someone else, but simply breathe. You are enough. You are home. Because a girl is not a visitor. In the map of existence, she is not a temporary presence between two identities. She is the ground itself, steady, nurturing, infinite. And if the earth can be called mother, then she too deserves a piece of the earth, not as a guest, not as a memory, but as a world of her own. For home is not sent where she is sent, nor where she is placed. Home is where she stands, and the world quietly agrees. This belongs to her. This poem is about a woman who are taught to belong everywhere, yet slowly lose the place where they belong themselves, learning the language of expectations, how to shape yourself into welcome, and how to disappear just enough to be accepted. Every room knows her kindness, every heart learned on her warmth. But somewhere between giving and becoming, she forgot the sound of her own name. There was no space that asked, who are you, when you are not needed. No place that held her without requiring her to be more. Until one day, in the silence she'd been avoiding, she heard something, not loud, not demanding, but just a whisper, come home. And she realized Belonging was never meant to be something she earned. It was something she returned to within. There's something tender in that. The slow forgetting of yourself, and then the even slower return. Mawlana Rumi whispers, why knocking at every door? Go knock at the door of your own heart. Maybe belonging doesn't begin out there. Maybe it begins the moment you come back to yourself. Let's take a breath there. Our third piece is by Empathic Flow, and I'll put all details in the show notes. Wounded Healer. The battles you faced, your empathy still shines through. From molehills to mountains, the road has been long, taking its toll on you. Wounded healer, your need to help others drives you day to day, yet often your own needs come second best. The self-critic has so much to say. Wounded healer, yes, you've been through it, but still you continue on. The heartbreak you felt along the way, I praise you for being so strong. Wounded healer, hear these words. I am proud of you. Please take the time to self-preserve. Your life is almost important too. There's a quiet exhaustion in that. Giving, holding, supporting, and somewhere along the way, forgetting yourself. If that's you, just pause here. Mawlana Rumi whispers, set your life on fire and seek those who fan your flame. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to rest. And you're allowed to matter beyond what you give. And sometimes the first step isn't fixing everything. It's simply saying, I'm tired, and letting that be true. And now, our final piece. This one feels like sitting beside your own pain and speaking to it directly. Mawlana Rumi would say, the wound is the place where the light enters. And this is My Pain by Al-Kalam Poetry. To the pain I feel, I promise you one day you will heal. Through the moments of darkness, of madness and sadness, the sun will shine and will come the help of the divine. Our burdens will drop, our pain will stop. A little longer, just hold on, and we'll rise a new dawn. A map will be made from our scars that now shine like stars, that we wear with pride and use as our guide. So hold on tight. Don't give up this fight. There's something very honest here, because it doesn't run from pain. It turns towards it. To the pain I feel, as if pain is not something distant, but something present, something witnessed. Try to learn to let what is simply be. And that line, a map will be made from our scars that now shine like stars. That's transformation, not denying the wound, but allowing it to become something that guides you. Maybe healing isn't becoming untouched. Maybe it's becoming someone who can sit with what hurts and still trust that something is unfolding. A little longer, just hold on. Maybe that's enough for now. Just this moment, just this breath. Because even now, something within you is still choosing to stay, still choosing to rise quietly. And that is strength. Thank you to yours truly servant, Silent Verses, Haley, and Al-Ghulam Poetry for sending in your beautiful poem. Now, before we close, let's take a moment together. If you can gently close your eyes, take a slow breath in through the nose and exhale. Let's do that one more time. Take a slow breath in through the nose and exhale. Let your breath move like the sea, coming in and out, steady, holding you. With each inhale, allow space, and with each exhale, let something soften. And as I sit with all of these words together, I notice something quietly unfolding underneath them. Each poem, in its own way, is speaking the same language, but just through different hearts. The language of being moved, of being undone, of being found again. There's a thread I can feel running through it all. Like the wind itself hasn't just passed through one story, but through all of us, through the falling, through the holding, through the remembering. And I keep thinking of something Mawlana Rumi once pointed towards, that what breaks us, opens, is often what lets the light in. Not all at once, not clearly, but in fragments, in moments, in breath. Because in her story of hope, I see surrender wrapped in wonder. In a house that knows her name, I see the quiet forgetting and the deeper returning. In wounded healer, I see the weight of giving too much of oneself away. And in my pain, I see the most intimate conversation, not escaping pain, but sitting right beside it and calling it by name. And maybe that's what this episode really became. Not just a collection of poems, but a mirror, a reminder that the human heart is not one note. It is many, breaking, loving, forgetting, remembering, all living in the same breath. And I find myself returning again to that Rumi-like feeling that nothing is wasted in the inner journey, not the fall, not the silence, not even the ache. Because somehow, even those places are participating in our becoming. So, dear souls, if anything lingers from this space, I hope it's this, that you are not only what you carry, but also what carries you through it. And that even in your most uncertain moments, something within you is still listening, still becoming, still turning towards the light. And maybe that's enough for today. Just to notice that you are still here, still feeling, still open, and in that openness, life continues to speak. Mawlana Rumi whispers, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. But today I am wise, so I am changing myself. You don't have to rush your healing. You don't have to have all the answers. You are allowed to unfold. And as you return, just remember, your voice matters, your story matters, your healing matters. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the voices that made this space possible. To yours truly, the servant, for sharing her story of hope. Your words carry both softness and truth in a way that lingers. To silent verses, there's a softness in your words, but also a deep truth. A house that knows her name speaks to something so many feel, but don't always have the words. The quiet loss of self and courage it takes to return. To empathic flow for wounded healer, for giving language to something so many feel, but don't always say out loud. And to alkaline poetry for my pain, for the honesty, the courage, and the quiet hope woven through every line. There's something sacred about sharing your word. It's not just writing, it's allowing a part of your inner world to be seen, to be felt by someone else. And in that, there is a connection. Mawlana Rumi would say, when the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk. So to each of you, thank you for your openness, for your truth, and for trusting soul healing poetry space with your voice. And to all the listeners, I hope these words have been medicine for the soul, and maybe one day your words will find their way here too. Until next time, take care of your heart and move gently with yourself.
As we come to the end of this sacred moment, let your heart carry what you felt today. And join me next Friday for another journey into the soul. More Mawlana Rumi poetry, more whispers, more guidance for the heart. Until then, keep following the light within.